So this is a guy named Joe with Dungeon Crawlers Radio. We're back at Gen Con 2014 in Indianapolis. I'm here with James with Paizo Publishing. How's it going over here at Gen Con?
Oh, it's going good. It's pretty crazy. We've had a line pretty much out the door all day long, and a lot of high energy and stuff like that. It's been wild.
Yeah, you guys were like right at the opening. You had with the early entrance, like, piled in right into this entrance here.
Yeah, it's like a tidal wave of humanity just kind of descends on us, and it's kind of like that every year, and it seems to be getting bigger every year, which is, I guess, a good sign. It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm. So, so with all the other products that you've been releasing over this past year, and you got new stuff coming out with Gen Con, right. What has been the most exciting thing for you that you've been able to put in creatively?
For this year, it would be the Iron Gods Adventure Path. I've wanted to do this for a long time, basically since the very first Pathfinder with Burnt Offerings. I knew at one point I wanted to do something with Numeria, which is our part of the world where science fiction and fantasy kind of clash together.
Really?
They had like 9,000 years ago in the world, the spaceship comes down and crashes into the ground, breaks apart and sprays technology and robots and lasers and rockets all over the place. A bunch of barbarians start finding it and blowing stuff up, and they freak out and bury it because it's bad mojo.
Sure.
And so that's the way it kind of went for like thousands and thousands of years, and now finally they're starting to dig it up. Okay. And there's this group of evil wizards and like magic using type guys who have figured out that there's this technology out there, and they're called the Technic League, and they're kind of hoarding all of these, like, you know, X-ray lasers and nuclear vortex guns and all sorts of just crazy weaponry and equipment. And this is the adventure path where the player characters kind of go in and start fighting against these guys.
Really?
So yeah, you're going to be finding like we got a chainsaw wielding orc on the cover of the second one. There's like robotic apprentices. There's robots all over the place in this thing.
Really? Okay.
And so it's a lot. I mean, it really harkens back a lot to like the old D&D adventure Expedition of the Barrier Peaks. Mm-hmm. But even beyond that, like there's the old Conan stories where Conan fights aliens, and Fafnir and the Grey Mouser like got all tangled up in futuristic stuff now and then. So it's kind of like the mix also of like Black Star and the Herculoids, and just all of this kind of mix of fantasy and science control, I guess, did a lot of it too. Mm-hmm. Back in the 80s, and it's just really exciting to finally be able to do stuff here. We've got the technology guide out as well, which I wrote about 2/3, 3/4 of, and that's got rules for all the things like, you know, clone pods and cybertech and nanites and all these different weapons, powered armor. So it's just neat to get all of these new types of rules into the game.
Yeah. And you're part of the creative team for Paizo Publishing. Mm-hmm. So what is it like then putting together all of the extra, why do you use the slang, the fluff and all the flavor text, all the music that you're putting in together, and all the maps and stuff? What is that like creating the full RPG experience?
It's weird. I mean, I've been gaming since 5th grade, and it's a little over 30 years now, and at this point, being able to take some of the stuff I invented for my games like 10, 20, 30 years ago and draw that forward, and like now we've got like audio dramas going on in comic books and video games and stuff like that. Just seeing all of this kind of branch out in all these different areas is it's surreal is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, if I made up a name for like one of the gods in our campaign, Desna, who's this kind of a goddess of like travelers and sort of a whimsical type deity, but she's got kind of this creepy edge to it because she's sort of an alien at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And
intrigue.
Yeah. And then seeing people like show up at conventions dressed up as worshippers of Desna is just kind of boom. Like, you're dressed up as somebody that I made up.
Yeah.
And it's just really kind of it's exciting. It just makes it feel like, you know, when I grew up, all of gaming with D&D and Call of Cthulhu and a lot of these games.
Yeah.
I just loved the games, and I just loved playing them, and now being in a position where I can give that back to, you know, another generation of people is just really fulfilling. It's great.
So then what so far has been like the most rewarding experience of Gen Con? Just I mean, other than seeing the
this
new
Gen
book?
Con?
Yeah, just this year.
I think it's the reaction people seem to be having to the technology rules in Iron Gods is, for me personally, the thing that I'm most excited about, because I was really nervous about it. You know, I was worried that it was going to be, you know, people weren't going to be into like science fiction mixing with fantasy, and people seem to be liking it quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that's personally something that I'm really just excited about. This is also the biggest booth we've had yet, and so that's kind of, this area back here is kind of this enclosed area where we keep all of our supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that area is bigger than, like, it's twice the size as the first time I came to Paizo for our Gen Con for our booth. So just seeing how big it's grown is just really kind of exciting.
And unfortunately, we can't really show you. We can't really get quite the scope, I guess,
It's like
without
this long,
cutting away.
but like 10 times longer.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
20 times.
Right there. So we'll see if we can maybe create some B-roll for that. So if you were to pass on one tip for any gamer, new or old, what would you tell them? What would you tell a new gamer?
I would tell them to not forget it's a game. And I see that a lot. Like, people get so passionate about the rules or the storyline or something like that, and they get so caught up in it that they lose track of the fact that it's supposed to be entertainment and fun. And I've seen in my groups, like, over the years, people get in arguments and make other people just quit the games or something like that. I've seen friendships break. Yeah. Fortunately, I've seen friendships form far more often, and I think that's one of the things that role-playing games is really good at. It's a social game, and it's a social game that really attracts the type of person like myself who is not very social, and it's kind of an outlet, and it's a great place to build, just community and friendships and stuff like that. Just don't lose sight of that is my big thing, and just remember to have fun. If there's a rule that you're trying to decide on and the game's ground to halt because you don't know if it's a +2 or -2, just go with what the GM says and just have fun.
Right.
That's my greatest hope, is that people just have fun with the game.
Good, excellent. So then if anyone else is looking to start getting into the Paizo products or in Pathfinder in general, or especially Pathfinder, where can they start?
You can find Pathfinder products pretty much at any of your friendly local game stores. We've got it at Paizo.com. You can buy all of our products through our web store. If you're just starting into gaming, you'll want to check out the beginner box. It's got everything you need right in there. It's all sorted so that you open the top up and you start playing with a short solo adventure right away, and it just takes you right through the experience. We've got the strategy guide coming out later this year, which kind of is a bridge between that and the next set, which is the core rulebook, which is a giant book of options.
Okay.
It can be really intimidating. The best way to get started is to find a group, find friends who are playing in a group, and learn from them, because that's honestly the best way to start playing, is to see it played.
Okay, excellent.
Cool.
So from Gen Con 2014 in Indianapolis, this is a guy named Joe and James from Paizo Publishing, reminding you to always get more from your games.